The door that shouldn't exist, it was just supposed to be a prank. That is what my friends told me when we broke into the abandoned office building on 12th Street. It was nearly midnight, and the city outside had already gone quiet, the kind of silence that feels alive. The building had been condemned for years. Floors sagged, ceilings hung in strips, and everything smelled of mold and dust. We'd heard the rumors. If you wandered deep enough into the building at the right time, past midnight, you'll find a door that wasn't there before. The door to the backrooms, of course. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe in internet horror stories. But that night, with my flashlight trembling in my hand, I wanted to prove I wasn't scared. We split up. Just to make things worse, Mark went upstairs, Lucy checked the basement, and I stayed on the main floor. The air was thick, heavy. Every sound echoed like it didn't want to die. I remember the flickering light above me when I saw it. A yellow door. Perfectly clean. Perfectly. No, it didn't belong there. The walls round it were cracked, rotten, black with mold. But that door looked fresh, like it had just been installed. I called out for the others, but my voice seemed swallowed. The door was humming, like a low vibration against my bones. And then, from the other side, I heard something faint, a voice, whispering out my name. I should have run. I know that now, but when I pressed my ear against it, the whispering turned into something else, my own voice. It sounded exactly like me, whispering from the other side. Come in. You're already here. The handle was warm. When I turned it, everything went silent. My flashlight flickered, then died. And the world shifted. The smell hit first, a stench of wet carpet, like an old hotel left to rot. Then the buzzing, a constant, endless fluorescent hum that made my teeth ache. I was standing in a massive yellow room. Wallpaper peeling, lights flickering. No windows, no doors, just that endless electric hum. I looked behind me. The door was gone. There was nothing but more yellow walls, stretching forever and somewhere far off. Something was moving, not footsteps, more like dragging, like something heavy was crawling just beyond the light. I took a step forward, the floor squished, waterlogged carpet. Then I heard it again, whispering my name. I turned toward the sound and saw a shadow that didn't belong to me. The endless halls, the shadow shouldn't have been there. It stood at the end of the fluorescent hall, long, stretched, wrong. It didn't move the way light normally moves. And it didn't match my shape. It was taller, thinner, like something was standing just out of sight, waiting for me to notice. I froze. Every instinct screamed at me to turn round, to run, to wake up from whatever this was. But there was nowhere to run to. The yellow walls stretched forever. The humming of the lights felt like it was drilling into my skull. Then the shadow moved. Not closer, just slightly to the side, like it had leaned its head to watch me. I blinked. It disappeared. That's when I realized something was. There were footsteps echoing now, wet, slow, out of rhythm with my own. I started walking fast. The carpet squished under my shoes with that disgusting, soggy sound. I kept turning corners, expecting to find an exit, a stairwell, a door back to the real world. But every hallway led to another, identical one. Yellow walls, white lights, damp air. The smell was making me sick. I called out again. Mark, Lucy, can anyone hear me? But the echo that came back wasn't mine. It repeated what I said, a few seconds too late. Can anyone hear me? Hear me? Hear me? Then something else whispered after the echo. Yes. I dropped my flashlight. It clattered against the floor and rolled, shining light down another corridor, one I hadn't noticed before. That's when I saw them. Handprints, hundreds of them. Smeared across the wallpaper in brownish stains that looked too dark to be rust, they trailed along the walls like someone had been dragged or tried to claw their way out. As I followed them, the hum of the lights began to falter, flickering, buzzing louder, as though the air itself was trembling. I turned another corner and stopped dead. In the center of that hall stood a rotary phone. Old, beige, the kind you'd find in a 1980s office. It was sitting on a metal stool under a single light, the cord stretching off into the wall. And it was ringing dot once, dot twice. Then it stopped, and before I could even breathe, it started again. I don't know why I answered it. Maybe because it was the only real sound in that place, something familiar, human. I lifted the receiver slowly, static. Then a voice, faint, distorted. "You shouldn't have come here." I froze. "Who is this?" the line crackled. Then, in that same warped tone, I heard, "You are not supposed to see it." My blood ran cold. "See what?" There was a long silence. Then, "The thing behind you." I spun around. The hallway was empty. For half a second. Then, one of the flickering lights behind me burned out, plunging that stretch of corridor into darkness. Another flickered out. Then another. The shadows were moving closer, consuming the light one bulb at a time, and within that darkness, something tall and wrong was walking toward me. I heard wet steps, breathing, the sound of skin sliding against the wall. I dropped the phone and ran. Every corridor looked the same, but I didn't care. I just ran until my lungs burned, until the carpet felt like it was dragging at my feet. Behind me, that thing kept coming, slow, deliberate, never running, but always closer. After what felt like hours, I stumbled into a larger room, an office space with cubicles. Fluorescent lights flickering above. The hum was louder here. Unbearable. I crawled behind one of the cubicle walls. Trying to quiet my breathing, the footsteps stopped outside. And then, the lights started flickering in rhythm. One flash per breath, like a heartbeat. Something moved between the cubicles, scraping along the floor and through the hum, through the flicker. I heard it again. That whisper, "You're already here." That's when I realized the whisper wasn't behind me anymore. It was inside my head. The mimic, the humming, never stops. It's a constant drone, a vibration that seeps into your teeth and your bones, like the building itself is alive, breathing through the flickering lights. I don't know how long I stayed in that cubicle maze. Minutes, hours. There's no time here. Just the sound of the hum and the squelch of my shoes on the wet carpet. I should have stayed quiet, but I didn't, because I heard Mark's voice. It came from the next corridor, faint, trembling, real. "Hey, over here. It's me. Mark." I froze. He was the one who dared us to sneak in, the one who laughed first. But his voice sounded off, strained, stretched thin like an old cassette tape. "Come on, man. We're this way." I swallowed hard and stepped out. The hallway beyond was long, too long. The walls seemed to bend inward slightly, curving like a throat. At the far end, I saw Mark, or someone who looked like him. He waved, but his hand was trembling and bending. Each finger stretched a little too long. His wrist bent the wrong way. "Mark," I whispered. He smiled, that same grin he always had, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You took so long." Then his smile split wider. It wasn't Mark. I turned and bolted. My shoes slapped the wet floor, echoing off every surface. But no matter which corner I turned, I could still hear him behind me. Beside me, whispering from every direction, "Don't leave me again. You said you'd help me. You said we'd stick together." Every time I turned, there was a flash, a shape, a reflection in the yellow wallpaper. It was wearing his face, but its mouth kept moving even when it wasn't speaking. I stumbled into another section, an open room filled with identical filing cabinets. The air was thick with mold and something sharp, like old electricity. The lights here pulsed, dimming and brightening as though something heavy was breathing in sync with them. I ducked behind a cabinet. The hum quieted. Then came the mimicry. A whisper so soft it felt like it was being spoken from inside my skull. "Don't hide." It sounded like me. Not Mark.me. Then, a few feet away, I heard my own voice again, clearer this time. "Please, don't do this." I froze. My hands shook. I peeked through the gap between two drawers. And there it was. A figure crouched beside the cabinet across from me, its body half glimpsed in the light. The skin looked wet. The head wrong. No clear shape. It tilted to one side, and in the faint yellow glow, I saw my own face forming on it, features flickering in and out of existence, like it was learning. And then it spoke, perfectly, in my own voice. "We're already one." I ran. The lights stuttered as I passed through them, blinking in sync with my heart. I heard the thing chasing me, the sound of skin dragging, bones cracking, and sets of footsteps blending into one. I found a stairwell door. Finally. Metal, dented, with a faded red exit sign flickering above it. I yanked it open. Stairs descended into blackness, but behind me, the mimic was coming closer, crawling on all fours, its mouth stretching into a grin too wide for any human face. I slammed the door behind me and plunged into the dark. No lights, just my breathing and the faint echo of something above, scratching at the door. Then I saw it, a faint red glow coming from below. The stairs ended at another hallway, but this one was different. The walls were white, clean, sterile. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead in a steady rhythm, and the carpet was gone. Just cold concrete, smooth and damp. There were doors here, dozens of them, each numbered, each with a small glass window. Through one, I saw something moving, a figure pacing back and forth in the dark. I leaned closer. The figure looked up. It was me. But this version of me was pale, thinner, eyes hollow. It slammed its hands against the glass and screamed soundlessly. I stumbled back, heart hammering. Behind every door, I could see different versions of me, of Mark, of people I didn't even know. Some were crying, some were screaming, some were scratching at the walls. And every few seconds, one door light would flicker off, and that room would go silent. Then the one next to it would flicker, and another, like something was moving through them, closer to where I stood. I turned to run, but standing at the end of the hallway was the mimic, still wearing my face. It smiled and whispered, in my exact voice, "You can't escape yourself." Then the lights went out. The forgotten floor, the lights died with a pop, like someone pinched the last breath out of the world. Silence followed, heavy, smothering. The kind that presses on your ears until you start hearing your own pulse for a moment. I thought I was dead. Then click. One light flickered back on. Then another. I wasn't in the hallway anymore. The walls were gone. replaced by endless grey concrete stretching into the dark. The arid of metal and old rain. The hum that haunted every corner before was different here, deeper, like a generator far below the ground. Somewhere behind me, water dripped steadily, echoing through the void. I took a step forward, my shoe scraping grit. My voice cracked when I tried to call out, "Hello." It came back to me, but distorted, like someone else whispered it back a second later, low, and then, faintly, a whisper that wasn't mine. "Why did you come back?" I froze. The air grew colder, dense with static. I could see my breath now. The floor sloped downward, leading into a shadowed corridor lined with half-broken fluorescent tubes. There were signs on the wall, faded, almost unreadable under the grime. Level -7, storage. Archive storage. Archive. Of what? I followed the slope, too terrified to turn back as I walked. I saw doors again. Metal. Numbered. 01, 002, 3. Each one sealed shut. But 004 was open. I peered inside. The room was filled with old CRT monitors stacked in columns, cables snaking across the floor, static hissed on every screen. Except one. That one played footage of me. Standing exactly where I stood now. Same posture, same lighting, same shadow crawling up the wall. Behind me, I turned. Nothing was there. When I looked back at the screen, my image was gone. Now the monitor showed a door, not this one, with a single word written across it in black marker. Exit. Something inside me snapped. I sprinted. The hallway seemed to stretch with every step. Numbers blurred. 010, 030, 100, -200. Each door I passed whispered, faint voices leaking through like steam. Crying. Laughter. Gurgling sounds that made my stomach twist. Finally, I saw it. The exit door. Rusty metal. Painted red. Glowing faintly in the dim light. I didn't think. I ran toward it and grabbed the handle. Cold. I pulled. It didn't budge. Then I heard the sound. A soft dragging, somewhere behind me, something moving through the dark, scraping against concrete. I banged on the door, screaming for help. Open. Please. The dragging grew louder. Closer. I turned, and the darkness moved. It wasn't a person. It wasn't the mimic. It was something bigger. A shape made of static and light distortion, like the world itself was glitching to form it. The air around it bent, and its body flickered between human silhouettes. Men, women, children, all blending, twisting, phases melting into one another. And they were all me. Hundreds of versions, each one with different expressions, fear, anger, sorrow, all screaming soundlessly. The thing reached out, and every face screamed in sync, forming a single broken voice that rattled my bones. You shouldn't have stayed. The lights exploded, white, blinding. I woke up on a staircase, the same one I thought I escaped through. Earlier, my head throbbed. The hum was back, softer now, almost comforting. I stumbled upward toward faint light. When I pushed open the next door, the smell hit me first. Coffee. Stale air. The sound of typing. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Cubicles. Phones. The office. I was back. For a second, I almost laughed. Until I noticed the screens. Every computer showed a live feed of me. Standing at the door. On every single one, the faces of the people in the cubicles turned slowly toward me. All at once, their skin was pale, stretched tight, and their eyes, empty black sockets, and in perfect unison. They smiled. Then they spoke. Hundreds of voices layered together. Shaking the air. Welcome back to work. The lights went out again. The exit that wasn't there's something you should know about the backrooms. You never leave. You only think you do. When the lights went out, I expected the hum, the static, the endless yellow. But there was nothing. Just silence, thick, suffocating, like sound itself had been erased. I could still see faint outlines of the cubicles, but they were wrong. The walls seemed too close together, the desks too far apart. My own shadow stretched longer than it should have, moving a second slower than me. I whispered to myself, "This isn't real. This isn't real. Wake up." The moment I said it, something whispered back, perfectly matching my tone, my voice, my panic. "It is real," the air shimmered. The office flickered like a dying video feed. For a heartbeat, I saw the yellow walls behind the cubicles, then the concrete, then black nothing, each layer folding over the other, like I was standing between worlds that couldn't decide which one I belonged to. That's when I saw him, sitting at a desk near the far end of the room. His back was to me dot still. I couldn't see his face, but I recognized the shape. The way his shoulders slumped. It was me. He typed slowly, methodically, on an old computer that wasn't connected to anything. Every keystroke echoed through the room, a hollow, rhythmic tapping dot tap dot tap dot tap. I called out, "Who are you?" He stopped typing. His head twitched once, like a glitch in a frame, and he turned round. It was me, but his eyes were missing. In their place were deep, empty sockets that seemed to breathe. His skin was paper-thin, stretched over something that pulsed underneath. He smiled, and his mouth, my mouth, opened to wide, the skin tearing slightly at the edges. "I've been waiting," he said. "We all have." He pointed toward the far wall. And as he did, a door appeared, tall, metallic, glowing faintly. The word "exit" pulsed across it in red. I didn't hesitate. I ran. The door creaked open just before I reached it. Behind it, darkness, a void, the smell of cold metal and ozone, and then a voice, dozens of voices slid, whispering in overlapping tones. "You want it out. Here it is." I stepped through, falling, not like gravity, not down, more like through. Images flashed round me. Yellow wallpaper, flickering lights, wet carpet, my own reflection in cracked glass, every version of me I'd ever been, laughing, crying, screaming, spinning through endless loops of static. Then, darkness, when I opened my eyes. I was lying on my apartment floor. My phone buzzed beside me. 1:12 a.m. I was home. I sat up. My heart hammered. The window was open. The city outside glowed faintly through the blinds. I could hear cars, sirens, life. I stumbled to the bathroom sink, splashing water on my face. My reflection looked back at me, pale, shaking, but real. I whispered, half laughing, half sobbing, "It's over. It's really over." But then I noticed something, the light above the mirror, flickering. Not the soft flicker of a dying bulb, the exact, stuttering pulse of a fluorescent backrooms light, and the hum, faint. But there, I froze. The sound grew louder, vibrating through the walls, through the mirror, and behind my reflection. I saw movement, the yellow walls, the peeling wallpaper, and me, standing behind the glass. Smiling, he raised his hand. I watched, trembling, as he placed his palm flat against the mirror, Then I felt it. The cold, wet pressure of another hand pressing back from the other side. "We told you." He whispered. "You never leave," cracks spidered across the mirror. Spreading outward like veins, the hum turned into a roar. I tried to pull away, but the mirror melted beneath my touch, sucking my fingers in. Then my arm. Then everything. The last thing I saw before the world dissolved into static was my apartment, empty, as the reflection stepped out where I once stood. He looked round, smiled, and whispered, in my voice, "Your turn to wander." Epilogue. The file found at 12th Street. 3 months later, police entered the condemned office building on 12th Street after receiving reports of buzzing noises at night. They found no people inside, only hundreds of old CRT monitors flickering on the walls. Each screen showed the same thing, a man walking through yellow hallways, calling out names that no one recognized. On the final screen, before the power cut out, the man turned to the camera, exhausted, half mad, and whispered one final line. "If you see the yellow light, don't follow it." Then static. And silence.